Tuesday and really emphasize that. Last Tuesday we got off to a slow start. I thought for the most part defense was very competitive early. Offense kind of hit a lull a little bit, and that happens sometimes. And that's what we have to guard against. We can't guard against one team just dominating every period. But I thought the defense came alive today. There's some things that we did a little bit different. I think guys are starting to figure out what we're asking them to do. And so that was good to see. I anticipate our offense to pick it up Thursday, because that's what you want. You want competitive practices. Because when you compete and one side of the ball feels like they had the edge, and I warn the defense, don't walk around here with your chest poked out, because Thursday this offense will be lit up. They're going to come after you. And that's good, because that's what you want. You want competitive practices. That's how you get better.
Coach, you alluded to the fact that it's next man up if a player gets hurt. How have you seen that receiving corps kind of rallying together after the loss?
Well, they've done a good job. They really have, and I think it's a unique group because it's a group that has played in this offense. Coach Likens, he's done a good job of really kind of making sure those guys are well aware of you have to be a multi-position player when you play wide receiver for us, because you got to move around a lot. So they've done a good job, you know, with this offense, because it's so much of fast and furious. They want to go fast, fast, fast. They got to be in shape. There's no doubt about that. So, you know, that's a requirement if you're going to play offense anywhere in college football, it seems like, with all this no huddle and going fast. So they're familiar with it, and that helps us.
When you look at the film from the scrimmage from Friday, what's the stuff that stuck out?
Well, I think guys are finally learning how to line up, especially on defense. Offensively, you know, when you look at us play right now, there's an air of confidence because they're familiar, and that helps. I think defensively, we've been a little bit behind because we're trying to obviously implement players in the correct positions that we feel can help us to win games and help them really show their talent. So now, with all these practices in, you can see it's kind of, the gap is closing a little bit in the confidence of the defense. But here again, our offense right now is an offense that there's a lot of veterans over there, which helps us. And the system's similar. You know, I'm real big on the running back has to be involved in our offense, whether it's running the ball or catching the ball. We did a couple things today where the emphasis was, if it's covered, throw it to the back. And I think we have to continue to improve on those things.
What's your sense of where you're at from a capability standpoint at tight end?
Well, right now it's a position that's not been used around here a whole lot, right? And I think as that thing develops, we'll figure out here pretty soon what we have at every position, along with the 21 guys that are coming in. And I think there's going to come a point that we have to realize that there's going to be 20 players on offense that play a lot and 20 players on defense that play a lot. I mean, you can have an 85-man roster, 110 guys, doesn't matter, but basically you're playing 40 guys, right? And so we got to figure that out. We have some idea of that right now with some of the guys. Now, the guys walking in here, they haven't played yet, but we anticipate that some of these guys will help us. So it's fun watching this thing develop because it's about competition, and we said that. You know, when you compete every day, you get better as a team, you get better as a player.
How important is that position to what you want to do in the run game?
Well, very important, because I think when you want to be multidimensional offensively, you have to be able to run the ball at times. You have to be able to dictate the terms of how you want to play every week, and that's the kind of offense that we'd like to evolve to be. Whether it's running it, like I said before, 35 times a game, whether it's throwing it 40 times a game, it doesn't matter. It's who we play, where we feel their weaknesses are at, how do we attack them, and sometimes it's going to be running the ball. And if you have to use 2 tight ends, sometimes use 2 tight ends. It doesn't matter. It's about trying to win a football game. That's the most important thing.
You had in Coach Christensen and Coach Fisher, you have 2 guys that have been head coaches before. How does that help in your overall staff when you have guys that have coached at the head coaching level?
A lot of knowledge, and I think you have different scenarios for different coaches, their philosophies on things, and this is why we continue to meet. I think the more we can meet and just talk about things, you know, I'm coming from a different world than they are. Still football, but it's a different world. They've been around this college world longer than I have, but it's still football, and I think anytime you can come together collectively as a group and understand this is some things we were able to do. These are some things that, you know, they were both able to do, and implement that. If that helps us, then you look at it and you go, okay, let's do it that way.
I apologize if you've already been.
You're fine.
If you've already asked it. Someone's already asked this, but you're about 2 weeks through this. What's the biggest difference between coaching college kids out on the practice field as opposed to pros?
For me, I coach the way I coach. It's about teaching. There's really not a whole lot different, to be quite honest. I mean, if you look at how we go about practice and fundamentals and the fundamental period and the you know, the other individual periods, it's all based on developing the player. So that doesn't change. I mean, you coach players on the grass. That's where you coach them. That's where they play the game. They don't play the game in the classroom. I mean, you give them the information in the classroom. Can they process the information once they walk out this door on the grass? And can you coach the information that you presented to them in the classroom in a way that they learn it on the grass? So that never changes. That's at high school, that's at pro, that's at college. Pro football is different in the sense you have more time. They are professional football players. They do it for a living. These guys are student athletes. Some of them have aspirations to become professional football players. But the formula is simple. When they get on the grass, you coach them. It's about learning. It's about processing information. And once you process it, and you can take that from the classroom to the field, you get better. So that never changes. So that hasn't changed for me. This script is a pro script. This is a pro practice. I'm not trying to emphasize that my practices are different than anybody else's. This is what I know. This is the way I've always taught. This is the way I learned how to teach coaching under Marty Schottenheimer. You know, watching Dick Vermeil as my head coach, being with Tony Dungy. I mean, this is what I've learned in 40 years of football. And so that's not going to change for me. It's still coaching them on the grass. You got to coach them. And so how do you do it? You got a philosophy, you live with it, and you coach it that way.
Are there more elemental or rudimentary things that you have to teach in skill periods because players are earlier in their development in college versus the NFL? Sure.
You know, and look, it works this way. From high school, what have they been taught in high school? Then they go to college. What have they been taught in college when they go to pro? And so you break them all the way down when you get them, and you go, okay, starts with simple, basic principles, stance. How do you get in the stance? And you build from there. You just build it from there. You're building from the grass up. And I just think that never changes. And I think these guys are understanding it now. Some things will never change when they come to practice. They've been hitting that sled ever since we went over there. They know, in their brain, they go, we come out here, we gonna hit the sled. Why are we doing it? Because we play bump and run. How do you get better at it? You gotta hit the sled, right? I mean, that's what they do. They're almost like, I don't have to tell them anymore. They know, we're going over there, we're gonna hit the sled, you know? And so I just think the more you can do that, then it becomes a pride factor for them. This is what we do, okay? We're gonna run to the ball, run to the ball. We wanna take the ball away when it's in the air or on the ground. We got some takeaways today. That's what we do. And that becomes your philosophy. And the players, they start watching it happen and they get confidence. And that's when you know you're heading the right direction.
It's early. What have you seen from Frank Dargan? What about his game has impressed you?
Well, you know, it's early, but I think every day, the more you practice, the more they process information, the better they become. And so he's a guy that's continuing to grow every day. And that's good. I mean, what's great about football is when you go out there and practice, you're on tape. Tomorrow they come in, they watch themselves. They can't say, well, that's somebody else. No, that's you. Watch yourself. Did you get better? It's easy to tell players, did you get better today? Did you get better? Did you get worse? I always say you got to get better every day. And so I just think the way he's coming along, he's doing a good job.
Coach, is there anything you've learned about yourself these past couple of weeks?
Yeah, I really missed coaching. Yeah, I really missed it. And when you've been able to do something like this your whole life, you miss that. With that, like walking on the grass and like coaching players. I mean, that's what I do. That's my world. One of my former players was out there today. Probably didn't see him because he's not very big. His name is Mike Nugent, the kicker, drafted him. But his unique story is this. We drafted him in New York, and I haven't heard this too many times. He was the captain, one of the captains of the Ohio State football team, kicker. You don't hear that much. Mike called me the day before yesterday, Coach, I'm living in town, you know, just want to come see you. I said, Mike, you're always welcome here. He came over and we visited a little bit, so it was great to see him. But it's fun to see some of the guys when they're around or in town. They call me. John Daly was in town today. He called me last night. He's a good friend. He's doing an event. He couldn't get over here today. He called me and said, Coach, I'm sorry I can't get there today. I said, John, don't worry about it, Dad. Appreciate you calling me. You know, so it's fun to hear from guys that I know, friends, when they get in town. Ozzie Smith's here, by the way. Ozzie Smith was playing golf Sunday. I went over there and saw Ozzie. Maybe he's going to come over maybe Friday. He's in town playing golf. So, you know, I hear from a lot of guys. And when they get in town, they give me a call generally. I tell them when practice. And if they can come over, come see us. So it's kind of fun seeing all my guys.
Coach, what phase do you like a little bit better? This phase where you're really shaping the kids, or the games, or what is it that you like?
Oh, the games there's nothing like the game. But it's building to get ready to play the game. You know, this is where the foundation is built. This is kind of where you mold the clay. And we get to go do it again once spring's over and the new guys come in, and we're going to go to, obviously, Camp Cush, and we get to build it again. You know, that's going to be fun, because then all of a sudden we're getting closer. We're getting closer. Oh, we got a game now. And so I can't wait to get up there now. You're going to, guys will see when we get up there.
Coach, the offensive line, they're doing a lot of fundamental work today.
Yes, you saw that.
Yes.
Every day.
Every day. But how important is it for them to become way more consistent during the season? Because last year, you know, they'd have games where they took over, and then they'd have games where it wasn't really good.
Well, they have to be consistent, because if you're not consistent with the offensive line, your offense is in trouble. And all great offenses are built through the offensive line. And what's great about it, I don't know if you saw Casey today. Casey Tucker's out there, right? I mean, so, you know, he's going to be a part of this, and he's going to be our left tackle. I'm not talking about school. I mean, he's going to be a left tackle. There's some other guys coming there to go compete for other positions. So I think what you're seeing is that Coach is doing a great job with those guys, Coach Christensen. We talk about fundamentals. You know, here's the sheet. Okay. This is the fundamentals in an individual sheet. And so on defense and offense, these coaches have to fill out this sheet of what they're going to do every day. It's required. It's required. Okay? And when you look at this sheet, look at every position coach, this is just the offense. Defense has the same thing. They've got to actually fill this out. And I look at it. So when I go to practice, I can go to the offense and say, this coach is doing this in fundamentals, he's doing this in individual. So you make a great point, because we coach fundamentals every day, and we coach individuals every day. And it has to be prioritized how we're coaching and what we're doing. And you mentioned stance. That's the first thing, the first requirement of every position coach is to coach stance. Learn how to line up. And whatever, so these things are filled out every day for practice. So I know when I go watch the quarterbacks, what are they doing in individual? They're doing this. What are they doing? It's filled out every day. Every coach has to fill it out.
And how important is it for some of the veterans to step up, especially with Sam Jones not being there?
Well, it is. It's you know, when you think about our offensive line, we move our left tackle to center, and I think he's going to flourish there. There's no doubt about that. And you know, when you have experience, that's one thing that young players don't have. You know, it's kind of like learning. You get the lesson first before you get the experience. And so once you got the lesson, you get experience. So I think the more we do that, the better we become.
Thank you, Coach.
Everybody good?